Okay, first of all, I just want to go on record as saying I'm pretty much dumb. Look, I recorded the entire episode. I forgot to switch the voice effect because this morning I recorded a new intro. You'll hear it in a minute. It's for Halloween week, but I forgot to change the voice effect on the microphone, and it recorded the entire episode in the voice that you'll hear on the intro in a minute. But yeah, so anyway, that's how my day's going. So let me just tell y'all, I'm sorry that this episode is late. It's been crazy. Anyway, just want to say y'all probably already knew I was crazy, but that was proof. But anyway, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is when you're listening. Welcome to an all new episode of Mystery, Murder, and Magic. Y'all, it's the Monday before Halloween, and I'm so excited. Now, I'm pretty much in Halloween mode year round, but this time of year and this week in particular just really makes me happy. Now, before we get started, I just want to give a little update on my mama. As I mentioned on Saturday's Weekend Weird File, she had an accident on Thursday evening, and she had to be taken to the ER. Well, long story short, they found out that she had a hemorrhage on her brain, along with the horrible gas she got on the back of her head. But she had a hemorrhage on her brain from that fall that she took, and she had to be transferred to a different hospital that had a neurology department. Now, she spent 2 nights there, and then thankfully on Saturday afternoon, she was doing well enough to come home. She's really sore, of course. I mean, when you take that hard of a fall, you would be. She said her butt hurts, but I believe her, probably her tailbone is bruised. But, because they did do x-rays to make sure nothing in her body, was broken. They did chest and lower body and everything, and all that's good. And she's doing pretty good considering what she's been through. I mean, she's not completely better, of course, but, that hemorrhage is healing on its own. So that's something to definitely be thankful for. Well, Alex isn't with us on this episode today because I was so late in getting it together that he's actually already gone to work. So I'm manning the microphone all by myself today. But like I said earlier, it's my favorite time of year. And I mean, what's not to like with all the beautiful fall colors, the scary ghost stories, little kids dressing up in costumes. But have you ever thought about the origins of the holiday? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, okay, I'm about to play this intro because I usually do. But I just want to point out this is the voice that the whole episode was recorded in earlier.
What you're about to hear, whether is shock or scary, you may have heard something new. Welcome to Halloween Week on Mystery, Murder, and Magic.
So yeah, that was like the voice that the whole episode was recorded in. Well, it really depends on who you ask, but people have a lot of different opinions about what Halloween is, like what is a celebration of. And to some, especially the little kids, it's a time to dress up like your favorite character, and you go and fill up your plastic jack-o'-lantern with all kinds of candy. Well, others think it's a time to celebrate the devil, so they close up their house and they turn off the lights to avoid it altogether. But there's so much more to it than just dressing up, and I admit dressing up's fun. I still have a costume every year, and getting candy, there's nothing wrong with that. I do love candy. And absolutely, there's no truth to the part about celebrating the devil. Now, Halloween is one of the oldest, if not the oldest holidays, but where did it come from and why? Well, in a nutshell, it originates from a 3-day Celtic pagan festival called Samhain. Now, I just want to clarify right here that I know that it's spelled Samhain, but it's not pronounced Samhain, okay? Just trust me on it. It's a Gaelic word. But for the Celts, I almost said it. Samhain was a festival to mark the end of summer, and it kicks off the Celtic New Year. The word Samhain itself literally means the summer's end. And it was a time that marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the winter season. Now, during the 3-day festival, it was also time that the veil separating the spirit world and like the physical mortal world was thinning. You've probably seen posts on social media about the veil thinning. Well, this is what it's talking about, and because the veil has thinned between the two worlds, it's more likely that you'll experience a visit from a deceased loved one, or maybe even a deceased stranger. You never know. Now, back in those early days of the Celtic celebration, it was also believed that because spirits were more prevalent during that time, priests could make really accurate predictions about the future. And we've also heard Halloween called Mischief Night, and that comes from Samhain too, because the Celts would play tricks on each other and then blame it on naughty fairies and other spirits. Now, also during the festival, they would dress up in costumes that were made from animal skins, and they would also sacrifice animals and sometimes crops to the Celtic gods and give thanks for their harvest for that year. Now, the Samhain tradition remained the same up until 43 AD, when the Romans invaded the Celtic territories. And when that happened, they pretty much did away with most of those traditions and reworked it into a Christian celebration. Well, some years later, Pope Boniface IV renamed the holiday to All Saints' Day or All Hallows' Eve. A lot of those celebrations that took place during All Saints' Day was similar to how the Celtics celebrated Samhain. There were still bonfires, and people would dress up in costumes, but instead of using, animal skins or heads, they started doing things like dressing up like ghosts or devils, saints and angels. And sometime after that first celebration of All Saints' Day, one of the popes, now I don't know if it was that original pope that had renamed it, he moved the holiday to November 1st, and the day before the celebration, which of course is October 31st, became known as Halloween. Now, in America, Halloween started getting popular in the colony, like I said, colony, because it was back in the colony days of Maryland. And then it started spreading south, and at that point, it was becoming somewhat Americanized. Now, the telling ghost stories and parties and dancing and singing and all that are Halloween traditions that were born right here in the United States. Now, trick-or-treating itself came from a tradition in Ireland and Scotland known as guising. And guising was or is where the young folks would dress up, or not necessarily dress up, but they would visit their neighbors and perform some type of trick, like maybe a song or dance, and in exchange for that performance, the neighbor would give them a treat. Now, typically those treats were fruits, nuts, and coins, and this would take place on the days leading up to Samhain. So, as you can tell from what I've told you, there's nothing really evil at all about the origins of Halloween. So why would anybody even think that? Well, one big reason is that of the Christian community and some other religions that think pagan religions are evil. They think that pagans are devil worshippers. But just let me say that while there are devil worshippers out there, it's not a pagan thing, okay? And to these other religions that are so against Halloween, I'd like to say that what Halloween is now is not the same as it was before the Christians turned it into a totally different thing. Now, like I said earlier, when it was still just Samhain, it was a celebration of the harvest, and they even honored their ancestors during that time. It wasn't ever an evil thing. Now, I'm not picking on Christians or any other religion. I'm just saying that it wasn't what they think it was in the beginning. So, sure, a lot of people, they use something like Halloween to do evil, but the holiday itself is not an evil holiday. I think a lot of that came into play when urban legends back in the 70s and 80s, kids finding razor blades in their candies or their apples. And I think that helped fuel the belief that it's an evil holiday. Now, you can make anything evil. But if you don't want to participate because it offends you or your religion, just don't participate, you know. But don't ruin it for the rest of us who choose to celebrate. Now, yes, this is a very short episode, but you guys know it's been a stressful and tiring few days for me. The good news, though, is that this week there will be an episode each day as a treat for Halloween. Y'all have a good day, and you come back tomorrow for an all-new episode.